Imagine standing outside a pair of swinging doors on a dusty frontier street. The sunset paints everything gold, and from the outside the saloon looks almost magical. Laughter spills through the cracks, a piano struggles to keep rhythm, and silhouettes move behind the glass like a scene from a movie. This is the moment where most people expect adventure. But the second you push the doors open, the illusion begins to break. The air inside feels heavy, almost wet, filled with layers of smoke that refuse to leave the room. It wraps around you like a blanket that hasn't been washed in years. Instead of fresh wood and excitement, there's a strange mix of old alcohol, sweat, and burnt oil from flickering lamps. Your eyes adjust slowly to the dim light. Hollywood shows these places as wide, glamorous halls. In reality, many were narrow rooms packed with strangers shoulder to shoulder. Dusty windows blocked the sunlight, turning day into something that felt like permanent evening. Some historians believe this wasn't an accident. When people lose track of time, they stay longer. You take a step forward and hear a crunch beneath your boots. The floor isn't clean planks. It's covered with sawdust, spread thick enough to hide whatever happened here the night before. Every step leaves a trail, as if you're walking across layers of forgotten stories. Now let me ask you something. If the ground itself looked like it had survived 100 arguments and 1,000 spilled drinks, would you still keep walking? Most visitors did. You move toward the bar, hoping for something smooth and familiar. The bartender slides a glass across the counter, but frontier drinks were rarely what people expected. Transporting fine spirits across rough landscapes was expensive, so many places served whatever could be made locally. The result was strong, unpredictable, and often harsher than modern tastes would tolerate. People didn't drink it for flavor. They drank it because life outside was harder. Behind the bar, the idea of hygiene was very different from today. Running water wasn't guaranteed, so glasses were reused quickly, wiped down, and sent back into circulation. In a crowded room where dozens of strangers shared the same space, every sip carried a little piece of someone else's evening. And yet, the saloon stayed full. Because it wasn't just about the drinks. Look to your left, and you'll see a long table covered with snacks, what locals called a free lunch. It sounds generous, almost welcoming, until you realize the real goal was to keep people thirsty. Salty bites encouraged another order and another, turning simple hospitality into clever business strategy long before marketing textbooks existed. Further inside, cards slap against a table like tiny thunderclaps. Gambling drew crowds from miles away, promising excitement and quick fortune. Experienced players watched newcomers carefully, reading every reaction. A small win could make someone feel unstoppable. A loss could turn the entire room tense in seconds. Here's the thing movies rarely capture. The saloon wasn't always loud chaos. Sometimes it felt like a living organism, breathing through conversations, laughter, and whispered deals. Travelers exchanged news from distant towns. Workers celebrated the end of long days. For many, this was the only place where loneliness faded into noise. Look around again. Oil lamps hang overhead, their glow flickering across faces that seem both tired and hopeful. A piano player struggles to keep the crowd entertained, while boots tap against the floor in uneven rhythm. Every sound blends into a constant hum that never truly stops. But there's another side to this atmosphere. Arguments could rise as quickly as the music. Without strict law enforcement in many frontier towns, Disagreements sometimes turned into sudden confrontations. Chairs scraped across the floor, voices sharpened, and everyone watched carefully, unsure of what would happen next. Even so, people kept returning. Why? Because the saloon was more than entertainment. It was a meeting place, a news hub, a temporary escape from the isolation of frontier life. In a world without phones or instant messages, this room was the center of connection. Step closer to the stove in the middle of the room and you feel warmth spreading through your hands. The corners remain cold, but near the fire, strangers become companions, sharing stories that grow louder as the night deepens. Here's something fascinating. Many saloons functioned like early social networks. Deals were negotiated here. Rumors spread faster than any newspaper. If something important happened in town, chances are someone heard about it inside these walls first. Now imagine the night moving forward. The piano slows, conversations soften. The smoke hangs lower as if the room itself is getting tired. You glance toward the doors and realize how long you've been inside without noticing time pass. That's when it hits you. The glamour of the Wild West was never about perfection. It was about survival, connection, and moments of escape carved out of a difficult life. Outside, the stars wait quietly above the street. You push the doors open again, and fresh air rushes over your face like a wave. The noise fades behind you, replaced by silence that feels almost unreal after the chaos inside. You turn back for one last look. From the outside, the saloon still looks inviting. Warm lights, laughter, movement. But now you know the truth. It wasn't a polished movie set filled with heroic legends. It was a raw, human space where comfort and risk existed side by side. And maybe that's what made it unforgettable. So here's my question for you. If you could step into one of these frontier saloons for just a single night, knowing everything you know now, would you walk through those doors or stay outside and watch history from a safe distance? Tell me your choice.